All right, we just want to welcome you to today's Business Fundamental Fridays webinar. And the title up there is inaccurate, unfortunately. Today is the 10 keys to being a 6 and 7 figure earner. And that is what today's teaching moment is about. Again, my name is Kellie Frazier, and I just want to welcome everybody here. So, what do high earners use to create? And it's interesting because I actually call them pups. And what that means for me is positively unusual practices. And it's a very interesting concept to use a very unusual practice because there's so many different ways that you can actually create and invent not just a product, but yourself as well. So, what we're going to talk about are the different keys to that. And key number one, I want to talk about being able to enjoy being unique. Joe Costello was known to dress up as Frankenstein at company functions. Oprah Winfrey spelled her name backwards and created Harpo Productions. Steve Jobs made presentations and sales pitches an exciting experience. And the point, of course, they all laughed at themselves while they did outlandish things. They enjoyed having larger than life personalities and a presence because that's what makes them unique and memorable. Key number two, they live in the fourth phase of entrepreneurship. Now, they are masterful at understanding the use of the internet and marketing and conversion and driving consistent traffic, executing and tweaking and allowing themselves the freedom to make mistakes. Now, it's interesting because I know right now people might be saying, okay, well, wait a minute. If that's the fourth, what's the first, second, and third? Now, that's not something I'm going to get into only because there is a fantastic webinar that is out there right now through Max Simon, and he talks about the first through third phases of entrepreneurship. And as you probably guessed, the first phase would be at the very beginning of the process. But as you've just heard, the fourth phase, of course, is just knowing all those different uses of the internet, marketing, conversion, etc. Key number three is great designs. Entrepreneurs know that great designs, whether it's a logo, a service design, or an electronic design, both motivates and excites their customers. The design that they give a product or a structure or style makes it memorable and unique. So creating a great design is also another key. They strive for breathtaking designs as well as functionality. The fourth key is knowing that learning is an adventure. 6 and 7 figure earners attack learning as if it were a sport, savoring the challenge and practicing it every day, taking risks and making decisions fast because they can almost foresee the outcome based on their knowledge and experiences that they've had. Key number five, extraordinary enthusiasm and energy that brings success. Passion breeds enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is what motivates people towards something. They choose their direction while remembering that energy is a resource that must be refreshed and renewed. Knowing this, they retreat long enough to care for themselves physically, spiritually, and emotionally on a regular basis. Now, I know that Scott and Garrett and myself have often gone over some of the things that we do to make that enthusiasm and that energy stay alive, and that is what brings success. So we hope that you've remembered some of those things while being here at our BFF. And key number six, accepting any and all ideas. Now, I don't know about you, but I know when I grew up as a kid, if I had an idea that I shared with my family, it was often put down or laughed at. And I think that that probably just goes without saying. Sometimes people might think that your idea is silly. And, you might try to step out there and share an idea and it gets shot down. Well, I think a 6 and 7 figure earner knows that any and all ideas you find acceptable, and it just may or may not fit into what it is that you're doing. So any idea could be a great idea at any given time, and an idea about creating a laptop or a cell phone, for instance, those were silly ideas to some people until their inventors made a fortune and changed the world, of course. So key number 7 is about turning a product into a cause. Transformational entrepreneurs start with the big vision of making the world a better place. They understand that turning focus on money alone can actually devalue the self-worth. Evolving with like social causes can bring more income and personal freedom than you can ever imagine. Key number 8, you're able to enjoy the cash cow. To release the cash cow. Steve Jobs didn't hesitate to release the iPod in favor of the iPhone or the iPad, which steered the market to a whole new level and direction. It's not easy to let go. I have been there and it is not easy, but sometimes it's necessary to do in order to make great progress. And 6 and 7 figure earners know this and willingly let go of that cash cow sometimes. Number 9, build great teams of people that care. With a team of the best people, we know that the sum is greater than the parts. And so your chances of surviving any storm out there that you might go through in your company is really just being able to surround yourself with people who care and who really want to make sure that you're making a difference as well as what they do in their part. You need a group of people around you to uplift you when you're feeling down and keep you grounded. Tip number 10 is to take something that is not working and make it unique and different. The key is learning from a failure and having it increase your motivation and focus rather than demotivate you. For example, if you have a book that isn't a bestseller and maybe you're selling 1 or 2 copies a month and you want to get this book out the door to get the message out because you know it would be effective in the hands of other people, well, a decision that you could make is to do a 5-part teleseries about talking about each part of the book that you created. And you go through it like it was a workshop, and you might charge $149 per participant. So that's just an example of how you can take something that isn't working and make it unique and different. Another example is maybe you have a sales page that isn't converting, so you have to try something new. So you're in a business to create open doors for other people. And that means that you want to be certain that you work in unique and different ways. Now, there are 3 very important questions that 6 or 7 figure earners ask themselves. And this is definitely something I really would encourage you to ask yourselves these 3 questions as well. You might, if you have pen and paper, you might want to write it down, or if you're on your laptop, maybe you can just type it in. But the first question would be, what experiences do you want to have in your own life? What experiences do you want to have in your own life? What do you want to enjoy? The second question is, what growth do you want to have in your life? Maybe you want to take a new language or study a course that you haven't studied before. So what growth do you want to have in your life? The third question is, what type of contribution do you want to make? 6 and 7 figure earners ask themselves these questions and they answer them, and those answers often bring the solutions to becoming a 6 or 7 figure earner. So those are very important questions to ask, and answering them, they're going to create a much larger life for you, and you'll be able to live the life that you deserve. So I hope these keys have helped you and that these 3 questions are as important to you as what they are to us. And in responding to those, you can absolutely live your dream life. And that's it.
Awesome. Kelly, can you go back to the question slides so people can look at those again?
You bet.
One thing that I loved about these questions, really, these questions, you can ask yourself these questions, or the idea of asking yourself questions every day is what I love. It can be any question, really. I mean, these questions are very powerful, but when you're constantly asking yourself questions, and then, but the key is to answer them. You can ask yourself questions, or somebody can ask you questions, but if you're not answering them, and answering them honestly to yourself, then it's not going to help you. But one thing we've shared with you, the power walks we go on, where we're constantly asking ourselves questions. And it's good to have a mentor or a coach or a business partner, or these Business Fundamental Friday calls where we're here to network and mentor with each other. And when you can ask yourself, like, for example, when you have a mentor or coach or a business partner like I do with Scott, we can ask questions to each other, and really get the answers out of each other. And that helps so much. So, answer these questions to yourself, but find somebody that you can answer the questions to, so that will really open up your mind, and they can dig a little bit deeper and ask more clarifying questions as well. So, Kelly, why don't you go to question number 2 there, and just let people kind of go through those again. Scott's here, everybody. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Scott.
You made it.
It's been quiet in the background.
So, one thing that we've seen as 6- and 7-figure earners, of people that we know, and through our own experiences, really, they've reached that level because they wanted to, and they weren't afraid to. So they were willing and able to answer tough questions. They answered them honestly, and then they literally and truthfully wanted the answers that they gave. And when they did that, or when we've done that in our lives, when we've truthfully answered the hard questions, and then we took action on the answers that we gave, we've always reached our goals. Now, an example I'd like to give is when we started, me and Scott started doing our monthly masterminds. It's really just when me and Scott go up to a local ski resort here, and we sit for a couple hours, and we just mastermind, and we ask questions, we answer questions, we prioritize, and we come up with action items that we need to do. And when we started doing that, it was funny because each month we'd come back and we see all the questions we asked ourselves, the answers we gave, and the priorities and projects that we set forth for that month. And we came back, and it was amazing. We almost everything that we had written down, we accomplished. And we accomplished it because, again, we were accountable to each other, and we had a plan. We wrote it down. And that's what I've seen our business. That's when we saw our business start to grow, when we started asking those questions, answering them, and creating an action plan based on the answers that we gave. Scott, do you have any insight on that?
No, I totally agree with what Garrett's saying. It's had a big impact on our life when you can ask yourself the hard questions, because it humbles you a lot of the time. You get so much involved into what you're doing so much. Sometimes you get a little prideful, especially if you're running the show. And one of the 10 things you mentioned, Kelly, was the ability to be able to take ideas, accept new ideas, and sometimes that's hard when you're the business owner, because you have certain ideas in your head the way things should go, but a lot of times your team can make the product better, or make the idea better if you are open to that feedback.
Yeah. So Kelly, awesome job. She put those questions back up there. Thanks, Kelly, for doing that. I think a lot of people wanted to write those down. Caroline says writing things down makes a big difference, and I totally agree. I think I couldn't agree more. When you write things down and you are consistently looking at those things that were written down, and you're consistently trying to accomplish those things that you have written down, then you're going to move forward instead of staying stagnant and staying where you are. And I've said this before, but a quote that my dad always said: if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. And I don't know who said it. My dad always said that, and it's so true. With anything in your life, whether it's health-wise, spiritual-wise, business, if you keep doing the things that you're doing, you're going to keep going the same direction that you're going. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's not. So, awesome job, Kelly.
All right. Great, guys. Thanks so much.
So just remember, everybody, the next week's webinar, before we get to the questions, and Friday, August 24th at 1 p.m. I'll be teaching that. building social equity, how to build relationships that make you more money. We'll be talking a lot about, what I call social equity and building relationships with people to help you grow your business, to help you reach your goals. So tell a friend about Business Fundamental Fridays. Let's get more people here that we can help. And you can do that by sharing, the website, businessfundamentalfridays.com, on your Facebook and Twitter or whatever. Email it to some business owners that you know. We'd appreciate that. So, again, question and answer, the guidelines. You can use the chat or you can raise your hand and talk. If you have a mic, you can introduce yourself, be specific, no selling, and keep it short. So let's open up the questions, everybody that's on. Ask questions about what we talked about today. And if you don't start asking questions, then we'll start asking questions that you guys can answer to help you kind of get through what you guys want to learn. Caroline says, is it possible to get this presentation in a PDF? There was a lot here I want to think about and go over again.
Sure.
Go ahead, Kelly, because it's yours.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They're always up on the replay. Excuse me. And what I can do is just go ahead and put that in as a document. Probably not the slide itself, but I can go ahead and put in some of the text in there as an editable document.
Yeah, but the replays usually, unless there's technical difficulties, usually we'll have the replays up each Monday, Tuesday, so where you can go through it, and they're on YouTube where you can kind of skip through to what you want to re-listen to for those that are on live here. Caroline says thank you. Okay, Sandra, when the replay is usually available Mondays. Sometimes if we're busy, we get them out Tuesdays, but they're all on the YouTube. If you just search Business Fundamental Fridays, you should be able to find them. And we number them by episode, and you'll see the date that we uploaded it. But we also email those out to everybody. And if you're not getting those emails, then let us know. But and then we always try to post them on the Facebook page too. I've tried to do that with a link to it on the Facebook group. So if you're not a member of that, then let us know and we can help you get on that. So any other questions?
It's funny that we're talking about the replays today because I think last week's replay was I think it's the only one that we were not able to post. So if you're last week's, you won't find that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And we try and do our best with that. Sometimes technology doesn't always work out. Mm-hmm. Sandra says she's not receiving the emails. So Sandra, I'll get with you and see what we can do to make sure that you get those. You might want to check your spam filter, your junk filter, and see if they've been going there, and then mark them, white label them, and mark them as not spam. Mm. That's a possibility. But I'll get with you, Sandra, and see if we can help you make sure you're getting those emails. Jenny says, thanks for the great reminder to ask, what contribution do I want to make? I get so distracted with all the to-dos and schedules, etc., and lose sight of the goal. Perfect. Mm. Thanks, Jenny. That's, just asking those questions each and every day, kind of, reevaluating where you are each and every day. And it's hard to do. It's not easy to, with how busy life is, and to reevaluate and see where you're at and ask certain questions. But when you do, you'll get so clear. And being clear helps you move forward.
Yeah, that's those three questions that Kelly put at the end. Those are almost questions where you have to go to a quiet place and just really concentrate on what you really want.
Yeah, I'm going to actually share something, excuse me, and this kind of comes from a vulnerable place here, guys, so just bear with me. When my father died several years ago, I did not expect the hospice nurses that come in and care for people to just be so unbelievably awesome. I cannot tell you how incredible they were. Then when my sister died, it was the same way. And caring for her, because my nephew had also died. And so she was going through so much. And when we had experienced this great interaction with hospice, I made a commitment to God and to myself that I was going to give back to hospice, but I hadn't done it. And I don't know why I did not do it over the years, but a couple weeks ago, I made the commitment that even though working and volunteering with hospice was going to be very time consuming, it probably is going to take one entire day of my week, every week, that I was going to give back to hospice specifically. And I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't know how, what's going to come out of it. But I do know that I needed to make that contribution for not just for myself, but for other people. Well, interestingly enough, I've had some of the nurses contact me and they're asking me what it is that I do, and I share what it is that I do, and they're just so amazed, right? And I'm thinking, could it be that there would be another whole section of people in this world through hospice that I could actually interact with, and not just me serving them, but as well as being able to use the knowledge and the skills that they have and bring it into my business and create something out of that for hospice? I don't know, but I'm anxious to see where it goes. And I think that part of that, for me, to answer that question, is a huge reminder, because that is one contribution that I wanted to make. So I love the fact that these questions do come up for us, because it's not only important for those that we teach, it's important for Scott and Garrett and myself too, as a reminder, and just being able to keep them in front of our minds and our hearts every day.
Yeah, that's a really good story, Kelly. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Well, not everybody is able to do that, to be able to take an entire day off of their business or their, out of their month or whatever. And I totally get that. But it definitely is something that was weighing heavily on my heart. So I needed to make that step out. So it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah. And I think, volunteering is a good way to really find out what you do want in life, and to get some of that humility and vision. I don't know if you've ever watched the show Secret Millionaire.
Yes.
But it's kind of, every time those people go on that show, they see, all the need and the opportunities out there to serve. I think they always come away from that a better person.
Mm-hmm. I don't watch TV, but my daughter last week, she goes, "Mom, you have got to see this show." And so she drags me into the living room and she goes, "Come on, sit down. You've got to watch it." So I did, and I loved the show. It was amazing. And all I could see was myself in that position. I cannot wait to get to that point where I'm able to share the way those guys did. And in essence, if you haven't seen it, they just go into, different places of the world, whatever it is that they want to contribute to, and they surprise the people. There's not a show out there like that too, but it was just powerful.
Cool. Caroline is talking. She says, you talked about being unique, which is something I have struggled with in the VA world, virtual assistant world. Of course, our stories make us unique, but I find it hard to write about mine and not make it endless. I think with being unique, and this is just from my view, and I'll give you guys an example. We started Scott and I, an email list, and when we first started out, we were trying to find our voice, I guess you could say. And somebody that we really looked up to was, and still do look up to, is Andy Jenkins, and we get his emails, and he's just so funny all the time, and there's certain people like that where they're just naturally funny, and their stories are hilarious and all that. And I still remember that we were trying to be like that, but it wasn't who we were. We were trying to be unique and funny, but we just aren't funny people, And so when it comes to being unique, you just make sure you be yourself. And I know you understand that, Caroline, and I know everybody here understands that, but don't try and be unique just to be unique. Be unique because you are unique, and be yourself. And when you do that, people people can see straight through people that are trying to be somebody that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And that shines out very strongly. And so just be yourself, and don't try and be somebody that you're not. And when you are, then people will resonate with you. It doesn't mean that everybody will agree with you or like you, but the people that do resonate with you will love you. And so, I think when it comes to not making it endless, Caroline, just chunk your stories. So, for example, I went to Lake Powell with my family, and so for one of my email lists, I sent out a picture of me and Gracie on the boat, and just a little story of what happened. And I was just being myself and being unique, and so just try and chunk so that you're not writing a novel about your story or why you're unique, but just chunk it into experiences in your life.
And I think,
go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I think that's a fabulous point, and you worded that very, very well. And I agree 100%. And I think a couple of things about our stories. Everybody has a story, and I agree that some stories seem endless, especially if we're in the older crowd. Okay, but I also agree with what Garrett is saying about chunking it. The problem that I see a lot of people go through is that because their story is long and they don't know really where to start, they sometimes go way, 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 way back, and they don't have to. Like for myself, for instance, I could have done that. I could have gone through all the stuff that I had gone through as a kid. But what I ended up doing instead was taking my story, and there's a way to tell your story that is also very unique. But I took my story from the start of 2007 and just explained how, I lost several people, I lost my business, I lost my brain even, and, being able to just share it in synopsis, just short plugs, if you will, about it, not always, but just depending on the audience that you're speaking to, can really make an impact. But here's the tip I'm going to tell you about stories, and maybe at some point we might even do a topic on stories, because I really feel, and Andy Jenkins points this out beautifully, that the way you share your story is going to make or break what you do. And so for me, I'm just going to say it really quick. If I said to you, Caroline, that in 2007, I lost my 18-year-old nephew to a drowning, and my sister died of cancer a couple months later, and my business defunct, and then I got a brain injury. And, if I said it to you like that, it's probably not going to have an impact, although you do feel like you're being hit with a wave every single time I say something, because nobody wants to go through and listen to someone's story that's that depressing, right? But what I do instead is I describe how I was sitting there one day and I get this phone call from my sister who asks, "Are you sitting down?" And that's how the story starts. And so as I go through that, I understand that people, it's going to hit them really hard. And you want to be able to share your story in a way that really taps into people's emotions, but not really drags them down and pulls them down into a pit. So the back end of my story talks about how when I got to that point after the brain injury occurred and I was having seizures all day long, I sat up this one morning and I looked out my window and there's the sun coming up, but there was this beautiful light in my bedroom. And from that point was when I started to see these images in my mind of creating books and speaking engagements and doing all kinds of things like meeting people and earning, hordes of money. And so this was a powerful thing. And the point I'm trying to make here is that ending is what is the most important part of my story. Because you can go on and really get into the emotions of people, but if it doesn't come around to saying what you're doing right now and how powerful that is, it kind of leaves people going, yeah, well, that was a really long drawn out story, but what did that have to do with anything? So it's got to be really powerful in that, so that it doesn't drone on and on. And Caroline, I don't know if that helps you at all, but I know that telling your story and telling it a certain way is very powerful and important.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Kelly. Caroline does say thanks. That helps a lot. So that was very helpful. She says, Sandra has a question. How does the search engines utilize links? Here in a second, I'm going to share a link that will help kind of It's a little bit detailed, but it'll help kind of show how the search engines rank and the ranking factors of the search engines. But really, there's two ways to look at links, Sandra. There's links on your own website, so those are internal links. And there's also external links, people linking back to your website. So there's two separate ideas of links going back to your website, and both play a role. They play different roles, but I'm going to send to everybody a link here. And Kelly, if you can open that up on your, well, I don't know if you can do that. Let's see. Yeah, open that link up so that we can show everybody on the screen. But this search engine factors, the search ranking factors, on SEOmoz.org. And I sent that link to everybody, and then when Kelly pulls that up, those that are watching the replay can, you'll see the link. It's SEOmoz, so SEOMOZ.org/article/search-ranking-factors.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so try that over again, please, for me.
Well, I sent the link in the chat area that you should be able to click on.
For some reason, I'm not able to grab it, Garrett. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, so go into your GoToMeeting, open GoToMeeting, and then in the chat, you can either click on it, down at the bottom in your dashboard.
Oh, open up the chat there.
You
okay.
can probably copy and paste it. But anyways, so while she's getting that.
You hope.
Yeah, that's a great question by Sandra. What it comes down to and what we've learned over the years, links play a big role in ranking in the search engines. They have to be good quality links. And if they're not, and even more with the updates like that Google's made, if they're not good quality links, your site's not going to rank. In fact, it's going to make your rankings go way down, and you're not even going to show up. So the key with link building and building links for the search engines is to get good quality links, and you do that a lot of different ways. Creating videos on YouTube and linking back to your website, doing press releases like on prweb.com and linking back to your website, getting other people on related blogs to write about your website and link back to your website. And there's a lot of different things that go into it that could be hours and hours of talking about it. And there's lots of different opinions out there as well. But the key is to be consistent and to be able to get quality links back to your website. Now, when it comes to internally linking on your website, you just have to be careful that you're naming the links inside your website so they match the keywords that you want to go for and rank for, and stuff like that. But
Garrett, I do not see it anywhere here. So what I'm going to do, can I just change presenter and then you can pull it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's interesting. Your name doesn't come up there. Oh, there you are. Huh, just popped up.
Well, we're both Garrett Pierson.
Right.
Okay, are you seeing the screen there, SEOmoz?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody, here's the link right there that I've highlighted. For those that are watching the replay, for everybody else, I sent it in the chat. So here is the 2011 search engine ranking factors, and you'll see here this is the 2000. You'll see a 2009 and 2011. Obviously, the most recent is where you want to look, but you'll see page level link metrics as a very high ranking factor, which means it plays a big role in getting ranked. And nobody knows what the algorithms on Google are or the search engines, but these are just based on tests that people have done. Domain level link authority features, so that really means the link that you're getting back to your website, what kind of authority does that website that's linking to you have? So for example, if you're in a baby clothing, you have a baby clothing website, for example, and you get a link from a dog grooming website that has no authority, Google's not going to give you a lot of what they call link juice. It's not going to help you a lot. So you want to go to like blogs, like I said, and get links from baby clothing or baby accessories or baby stuff like that, and get those people to link back to you. Okay, so and if that baby website that's linking back to you has a lot of authority in the eyes of Google, then that's going to help you get ranked more too. So the higher the authority site, the better. So that's just going to take some research when you're out there looking to try and get links on blogs and other areas.
Or you could do forums.
Or forums, and make sure those forums have, have a lot of good content and are authorities. So you can get links a lot of different ways, but really comes down to where are those links coming from. So then you see further down on the list, page level keyword usage. Okay, what kind of keywords are on the pages that you're trying to rank for? Domain level keyword usage, page level social metrics. So this is something that's really new and that's come up because of social media. What kind of social media? Are people liking your page? Are people retweeting or tweeting about your page? And other, are people pinning your page on Pinterest and stuff like that? Those play a big role nowadays where they didn't used to. And you can go into more just the overview here. You see, and you can read what these all mean. I'm just giving you a very quick example, but this is something that I would suggest you kind of look at if you're interested in trying to learn more about how to get ranked in the search engines. But Sandra, I hope that helps a little bit. Again, I could go on, and there's lots of training courses out there. There's lots of blogs that will teach you, and lots of YouTube videos that you can go watch. Just make sure it's recent. Okay, for everybody that wants, like Sandra, wants to learn a little bit more about that, make sure what you're reading is within the last 3 months, because if it's not, then it might be outdated, because things change all the time. So Sandra says, yes, it does. Well, good. Hopefully that website will be a good resource for a lot of you guys as well.
Garrett, didn't you also do a webinar one time? I think I was gone during that time, but didn't you also do an SEO training?
Yeah, we did a traffic one where we talked. We didn't go deep into SEO, but
okay.
But yes, and I think it was around episode 4 or 5 or 6, around that time, that they can go back and watch the replay. We talked a lot about. It was more about traffic, but it's all the same, and the basic idea of what I taught in that was being consistent and consistently creating content, consistently trying to get links, and consistently creating videos with links in it and stuff like that. And then we also, in a couple of the episodes we've done where we went over to the Google Keyword Research tool and actually showed you guys how to do keyword research and find the keywords that are getting searches so that you can go for those keywords and create a database of keywords to write articles about and create videos about. And that's where the traffic's going to start coming. That's where the rankings and the search engines are going to start coming, when you're creating content around those keywords that you've researched.
Well, I'm thankful that you know so much about this, Garrett.
So I'm not seeing any more questions. Why don't we ask you guys a question? And I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to pull it out of thin air, and hopefully this will get you guys your creative minds and your questions coming. But I want you guys to answer this. You don't have to answer it publicly here on the chat and to us, but just ask yourself this question. What are you doing today, or let's even say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week? What is it that you're working on, and how is it helping you grow your business? And so in the next 3 days, let's just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, what is it that you're going to work on? What is it that you've been working on that's going to help you grow your business? And that's kind of a two-part question, right? So what have you been working on? And evaluate what it is, and then what will you be working on next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Now, if you can't answer the second question, what will you be working on next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, then you might have a problem. And that problem might be that you have no idea what you're going to do next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You don't have priorities written somewhere. You don't have projects that you're working on. You don't know what you're going to do. So that's one part of the question. The other part of the question is, what are you working on today, or what have you been working on yesterday and today? And are those things helping you grow your business, or are they just fluff?
Right. Are you working on your business, or are you working in your business?
Right.
There's a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. So that evolved into two questions. So why doesn't somebody share what have you been working on and over just the last couple of days, and has it helped you grow your business? And if you can't answer these questions, this is something that you really seriously need to become clear on. And you need, maybe we are giving you a little kick in the butt to kind of figure out what it is that you're doing. So since I asked the question, then I should be willing to answer it. So one thing that I've been working on the last 2 days is working directly with our programmer, Aubrey, on Rhino support. And we've been testing a big transition of a big client to use our new Rhino support. And so I've been working a lot in the business the last couple of days, which has been very necessary to move forward with a big product launch that we have for our new software that's coming up in October. And so I've been knee-deep in that these last couple of days, and Scott has as well. And Scott's been working on a lot of our shopper-approved stuff, where we're still working on our new design. So we've been working a lot in the business the last couple of days, which has been really good, actually. So it's not always bad to work in the business, but that's something that we've had to do the last couple of days. And then, so that kind of answers that question. Now, next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, to answer that question, we will be working on an important video for our homepage of Shopper Approved. We're getting really, really close on launching the new Shopper Approved redesign and the whole new sales funnel and everything. So next week we'll be working heavily on our Shopper Approved video, and Scott will be doing a lot of that. And then also I'll be working heavily with Aubrey again on making sure that the transition's going well and the programming's going well with the new Rhino support system that we've been working on for a long time now. And so so those are some of the things. So we know exactly, for the most part, I didn't go into a lot of detail just for the sake of time, but know what you're doing, and is it helping you grow your business, and know what you're doing in the future. So we've got some people that have written in. Jenny Wilson says, more article marketing, just created a new content creation schedule for myself to be well prepared ahead of time. Awesome.
Excellent.
That's great, Jenny. So that's good. So Caroline, during the past 2 days, I responded to people inquiring about my services. Well, that should help you grow your business. That's great. Gave some quotes and followed up with an offer. Perfect. See, that's stuff that Caroline's doing that's going to help her grow her business. Now, just as a side, a warning, and this isn't directed directly to Caroline, but if you're working too much with inquiries and getting quotes and following up with offers, then you might be missing out on getting more inquiries, meaning getting more traffic and more people to be sending in inquiries. So there's a huge balance there with marketing, getting traffic, and getting more leads, and then actually working with the leads that you're getting. So there's a huge, you have to balance that out. And again, Caroline, I'm not saying that you're not doing that. I'm just bringing that up for everybody. So thanks. Kevin Mack says, oh, does the BFF gang get a discount on your new product? Well, that's a great question. The cool thing about our new product is there's a free trial that everybody will get access to, and you can use it and see if it works for your business. But
we haven't really.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. But when we do launch it, then we will definitely be letting you guys know and just telling you how it's going and stuff. And most of our products are highly discounted in our market anyways. And so, but we'll talk about that more with Kelly and Scott. But thanks for asking, Kevin. Sandra says, I am still working on store design and search ranking. Okay. So, Sandra, one thing that you might want to ask yourself is, could the store design go faster? Because the word that you used there that stood out to me is, I am still working. So, is there somebody that you could outsource to, or is there, if you spent all your time just trying to get the store design done and get it done fast, would that help? The search ranking, is there somebody that you can, get help from there with, hire somebody out, or, so just clarify your answers more to yourself. You don't have to do it now, but is there something that you could do to make things that you're working on go a little bit faster? And that's everybody's question, right?
So,
more resources.
I can't remember who it was, but I read it in a book. I think it might have been the 4-Hour Work Week, but they asked, what if you so you take your current project that you have right now and you ask yourself, what if I absolutely had to get it done in 1 week from now? Yeah. What would I do differently than what I'm doing right now? And then they said, what if you then ask yourself, what if I had to get it done in 3 days, and what you would do differently than what you do in a week? And that can open up new possibilities to getting things done sooner that you might not think of when you don't have a deadline and you're just working day to day trying to finish a project. Yeah, and actually, we should probably take that advice.
Yeah, well, and there's some circumstances, that you can't. It's not up to you. Like, for example, we have programmers, and we're kind of at their mercy sometimes. But if you create deadlines and you're managing the project well, then you can get things done a lot faster. Kelly?
But there may be certain aspects of what you're doing that you might be able to eliminate or speed up considerably. You might not be able to change all of it, but there might be some key parts that you can change to speed up the project.
Yeah. Kelly, do you have any insight on what we've talked about?
Well, the thought that I had, first I wanted to tell Kevin that, Kevin, it doesn't hurt to ask. So, I really applaud you for asking. Caroline, I wanted to address her as well as Sandra at the same time. There's something that I decided to do a while back. I do what's called strategy calls. And I'm not going to go into, what I do on a strategy call, but in essence, it's kind of similar to making an offer to somebody, okay? And I found myself needing 1 day a week or a few hours on certain days for the week, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, just a few hours in a block time where I was going to be making those contacts and setting out those offers, or, working on a certain design or a certain video. So blocking out time to do those during your week is really one of the most important factors that you can do for anything that you do in your business. Without blocking out time is just going to skip right on through. I literally have the online stopwatch on the computer. So when I'm sitting down working on anything, whether it's a phone call or anything, I always have this little stopwatch going. And it sounds kind of crazy because, you don't want to live your life by a time clock. That's not it. I don't sit there and look at the clock all the time. What I do is I say, okay, I want to spend 30 minutes working on this particular project. So therefore, I'm going to set my time clock to stop myself, you know? So it really does come down to discipline for myself rather than living by the time clock. So I don't know if that helps, but I think it's an important factor.
Yeah. So while you were talking about that, I pulled up an online stopwatch just for an example, and there's lots of them. Kelly, which one do you use?
That's the one that I use. Yep.
Oh, is it? Okay. And all I did is I went to Google and searched online stopwatch, and that was the first one. And you know what she said, I think is the key to success in business.
It is. Right?
Bar none. If you do not create a plan and, like she said, block out time to accomplish that plan, you'll never get to where you want to go. So, for example, you know, I teach people how to write books. You know, I've got a book and a training program that teaches people how to write books. The people that finish their book create a plan and block out certain times of the day that they're going to write. The people that do not do that never, ever, ever finish their book. And you can move that over to working out, okay, being healthy. If you don't block out time in the day to do that, it is not going to happen. Life is too busy. Okay, if you do not create a plan to do your articles and write your articles on your blog and block out a certain time of the day, it will not happen. Because what happens is we fill our time, when we don't have something to do, we fill it with something. Whether it's sitting there doing nothing, sitting there reading Facebook, sitting there fixing a problem that doesn't matter, whatever it is, you will always fill the time with something. So if you're not blocking out that time to accomplish your goals and accomplish what you want to do, it's just the success will not come. It's just that simple. So I love what Kelly said. To me, that's the key to success in all levels of whatever you're doing in your life.
Yeah, let me tell you a quick story, and I think this really hits home to all this. I met with a man last week who when we sat down together, he said, you know, Kelly, it took me 13 years, and he slides his book across the table and he hands it to me. He goes, I want you to have this, and he signed it. He goes, it took me 13 years to write this book. I said, wow, that's a long time. This must be an amazing book. And I smiled, you know, and he said, how long did it take you to write your first book? And I said, oh, golly. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't want to know, right? It took me 14 hours to write my first book. And that was 14 hours straight because I was on a plane flight from Hawaii to back home again. And it took a 14-hour journey. But that is how long it took. And there was, you can't compare yourself to anybody else. But when I said that, his chin dropped. And I just looked at him and I said, question for you. Did you block out any time during those 13 years to write your book? He goes, not one time. He goes, but that is definitely something I'm doing for my next book. So, I mean, it's really powerful when you can block out time. And for me, when I travel anywhere, if I'm by myself, oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe how much work I can get done because I have unplugged from the office and I can totally concentrate. But when I'm here, that online stopwatch is powerful for me.
You know, Kelly, when you talked earlier about the power of a story, that's a great one.
Yeah.
You just told a story.
It's very true.
Yeah. So Audrey says, rewriting my item descriptions, I'm guessing for the products, trying not to use the descriptions companies have given me. That's cool. That's a good thing to work on. That's going to help with search engine optimization as well if you do a really good job at those item descriptions. Plus, you know, it helps with sales copy, meaning if people read those, when people read those, you know, you can do a good job. So that's really good. Now, she also says, I will work 2 hours 2 times a day on this project. And that's awesome, Audrey, but you need to be more specific with yourself. And you don't have to be specific with us, but maybe after this call, you need to block those specific times of the day when you're going to do those 2 hours. Because if you're too broad like that and not specific, then just saying that you're going to work 2 hours a day or 2 times a day it won't happen. And I'm not saying that you didn't do that, Audrey. Maybe you did. Maybe on the chat you're just being general. But for everybody listening, you have to be very specific, and you have to use a calendar, whatever type of calendar you use, whether it's for example, your iPhone or Google Android or you're on your computer. You've got to use you've got to be very specific of when you're going to be doing that. So, for example, Scott and I work out. We didn't this morning because there were some circumstances. Scott's wife's out of town, but we work out usually about 8:30 every morning. We block it out, and usually that night before we'll talk to each other and via text and say, when you're going in the morning, and if there's something happening. And 2 days ago he told me that his wife's out of town and he wouldn't be available. And so. But we know we're going to be here usually around 8:30, and then we're going to work out for about an hour and do our power walk, and then we'll be in the office. And so that's blocked out pretty much, right, Scott?
Yeah.
It's blocked out, and we know exactly when we're going to be doing it. And if something changes, for example, if Scott can't come in the morning for whatever reason, then either we'll schedule a new time or I'll go by myself. We figure it out and we work it out. And there's going to be things that come up. That's just going to happen. So just be a little bit more specific and use your calendar or write it down on a board and set reminders on your phone and use a stopwatch and stuff like that. That's awesome.
That brings up a good point, Garrett. If something's really a priority to you and something comes up and you can't do it when you originally wanted to, if it's a big enough priority, you'll find another way to block out time that day to get it done.
Yeah.
Because there's several times when I've had to, and we've probably both done it, where we've had to move our workouts, to the night or to another time during the day, but we still get them in because they're important.
Mm-hmm.
And we make them a priority.
I have two thoughts also for Audrey, and that is, Audrey, I think it is awesome that you are taking product descriptions from a manufacturer and recreating them, because that's what's going to set you apart and make you different. And the other thought that I had was, I think it's important for every single one of us as entrepreneurs to know when your most creative time of a day is there. If you feel you're in your creative genius zone at midnight, then work at midnight. If you feel like it's 2 o'clock in the morning, work at 2 o'clock in the morning. But whatever it is, find that spot and do that creative stuff when you have your genius zone there, because that's really, I think it makes a huge difference toward your success.
Yeah. Kevin says, someone told me once when I owned a towing company that I'm the $100 an hour guy. I shouldn't be doing $15 an hour jobs in my business.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And it's so true. If you're working in your business and doing things that somebody else could do better and faster than you, and you just shouldn't be doing them, then that's something that needs to be outsourced, or you need to find a way to automate it and create systems around it. So that's a great example of using your time wisely. So I think I'm not seeing anything else from anybody, but if there's any more questions, let us know. If not, then just remember the webinar next week, 1 p.m., same day, same time. I'm going to be teaching about building social equity, what I call social equity, and building relationships of trust with people that can help you grow your business. I'm going to be giving you guys examples of people that I've built relationships with that have helped me earn more money and build my brand and build my my relationship with other people. Caroline says, these webinars are blocked out in my calendars. Awesome. Everybody needs to do that.
Yeah. Hey,
remember.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to really acknowledge everybody on the line, because I asked the question about what topics they wanted to hear, and I think we've had 3 or maybe 4 people respond to that. And you guys, we are definitely going to be looking at those topics that you want. And thank you very much for putting your information in there, because without you guys giving us your input, we don't always know the direction to take our webinars. So I think it's really extra important for us to get this feedback from you, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, so if you go into the group, Kelly asked a question here, do you have a topic you want to learn more about? Let us know what it is. You know, and then we've had people that have given us some great feedback. So go there and let us know what you want to learn more about to help you grow your business, improve your life, and be outstanding. So we appreciate everybody for being here. We look forward to seeing you guys next week, same day, same time, and everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, everybody.
All right.